belly drum that off and go for Aqua Jets onto Arcanine or punish whatever decides to switch in. Right now, Cresselia is going to be probably the thing that can take Aqua Jets the best at
Well,
6
and
stages of
Conkeldurr will
increased
take them
attack.
pretty well. If it is knockoff, no threat of play rough, even though Zoomerel is faster, knockoff won't be able to get the KO. And Conkeldurr's great against, especially with Ice Punch, the Landorus, Heatran, and Kangaskhan on the other side.
Absolutely. We now go into the first turn here of round 3. Both players are currently 2-0. Of course, you want to always do as well as you can in these battles. You know, one loss could lead to another loss, and that could put you at a top cut. We see Kangaskhan and Arcanine right now out for Chase's side, and Kangaskhan and Azumarill out for Alex's side. And now all he really has to do is just go for a belly drum if he possibly can.
Yeah, really useful Intimidate here for now, unless the belly drum gets rid of it. Keeping the Kangaskhan in check, otherwise it does good damage to the other Kangaskhan. This would be a dangerous place to go for a belly drum. Arcanine isn't too much of a threat to Azumarill, but you do have to worry about the other Kangaskhan. You can try to fake out the other Kangaskhan, but if it's faster than your Kangaskhan, it can fake out Azumarill and do pretty good damage.
And we do see Kangaskhan now on Alex's side. Going to go ahead and Mega Evolve here. What is it going to try to do? Is it going to go for the fake out or straight on the offensive? It is at one stage of decreased attack. As we see Kangaskhan now on Chase's side also going to go ahead and Mega Evolve at neutral attack. So that one's going to be out hitting the other. Kangaskhan now going to go for the fake out, targeting down the Kangaskhan slot. Going to make it flinch. Not going to be able to go for a fake out as it gets a critical hit on the first hit and does a decent amount of damage there. Maybe about 30%. Arcanine now going to go for the Will-O-Wisp onto that Azumarill. Good call right there to try to slow down this Azumarill from being able to set up a belly drum. But I think belly drum's going to come up anyways, as we do see the belly drum now.
Yeah, but the burn is still a great way to handle the Azumarill. It's still a massive attack stat, but it's not in that range where Aqua Jet's a 1-hit KO on everything you're looking at, and it will be useful damage to eventually get the KO more easily. Getting the faster fake out onto the other Kangaskhan is really huge there. I don't know if he knew for sure that was the case, just took a chance, but really pays off. If he instead the other Kangaskhan had faked out first and he faked out a Kangaskhan that had already moved, it would have been much less useful.
As we do see Cresselia now come in. If it's carrying Rocky Helm, that Azumarill is slowly going to get chipped away. As Kangaskhan on Chase's side now going to go protect. Not going to want to take any damage here as Azumarill does go for the Aqua Jet into the Kangaskhan slot. Kangaskhan also goes into a return into the Kangaskhan slot. And now Alec identifying Kangaskhan as the bigger threat instead of the Arcanine.
Yeah, now that Citrus Berry used up after 2 turns of burn damage. Kangaskhan's got to watch out for an Aqua Jet. Probably no good switch into it either. If it's something like Conkeldurr would be able to take it and stay at pretty good health, but still take a good chunk, especially if a return comes to that slot also.
And we do see Azumarill now go for the Aqua Jet here. Going to target down that Kangaskhan. Does not pick up the knockout as Kangaskhan on on Chase's side goes first and picks up knockout on the Azumarill.
So maybe a speed tie, or maybe that Kangaskhan wasn't using fake out on turn 1.
As Kangaskhan also going to go for a return now on to the Kangaskhan and picks up the knockout as Cresselia now gets free reign of what it wants to do here. Gonna go for the Calm Mind. Calm Mind, Crest. That Calm Mind, though.
Yeah.
That Calm Mind, though.
And we did see Protect on the other Kangaskhan, so it probably was not using Fake Out on the first turn. It may have been faster the entire time.
Right. We do see Cresselia start setting up that Calm Mind, and usually when I see a Cresselia that goes Calm Mind, I usually assume that Cresselia is going to be very physically bulky off the bat.
Exactly. It's going to not take too much from this return, especially now that it's from a -2 attack Kangaskhan.
And we do see Arcanine come back in, going to go for Intimidate onto the Kangaskhan and the Heatran. Not going to do too much of that Heatran. Heatran, of course, can threaten the Arcanine with a Earth Power. And, you know, I think this Cresselia is going to be problematic right now because I don't think there are that many other physical attackers on Alex's side.
I think Kangaskhan needs to leave the field right now, and it does. He's got to get that Intimidate to reset so you can threaten the Cresselia later in the game. Landers can also be useful in threatening the Cresselia, maybe with a knockoff.
And we do see the Intimidate onto the Arcanine. Risking a burn here. Definitely risking a burn as Arcanine does go for the Will-O-Wisp, does connect onto that Landers, and now this Landers is not going to be hitting that hard.
Yeah, you risk a burn, but there was no other choice. You had to switch to Kangaskhan, otherwise it was going to get burned, and you need the Kangaskhan's offensive presence to deal with this Cresselia.
Now, yeah, Chase going for another Calm Mind. This Cresselia is currently at 2 stages of increased special attack, two stages of increased special defense, and now this Heatran is not really going to be able to deal with this Cresselia as well as it would have normally. Landers does take some chip damage from the burn, and Arcanine does take damage from that Earth Power from that Heatran, almost getting all the way down into the red. And, you know, Alex still has some options, but this Cresselia is setting up. That's concerning.
Yeah, he needs to do some things here. He needs to get a knockoff on the Cresselia in case he has Rocky Helmet, because Rocky Helmet damage plus Psychic will probably be a KO on Kangaskhan. He needs to get the other slot KO'd quickly so that he can just have the Kangaskhan in. He can't have a Mach Punch threatened, for instance.
Key Berry. Not going to activate the Key Berry there as Cresselia goes for the Psychic onto that Heat Ran. Going to bring it down to about 80%. Heat Ran now going to go Heat Wave. Not going to do too much damage to that Cresselia. Conkeldurr doing some work there by switching in easily.
Maybe an Assault Vest Conkeldurr. That took very little damage from that Heat Wave. Psychic probably hitting Heatran, predicting a Kangaskhan to come in. It's kind of a safe move. If Kangaskhan does come in, you've almost won the game. And if it doesn't, Heatran's still in the field, almost worthless against, if this is an Assault Vest Conkeldurr and that +2 special defense Cresselia, and threatened by the Conkeldurr on the other side. And again, that switch is prevented because if Kangaskhan comes in, it doesn't want to take the Drain Punch any more than Heatran does.
Right.
Really preventing any useful switch on the other side of the field.
The Arcanine's really paying off. I mean, just comes in, goes for the Intimidate, and then burns, whatever, decides to switch in and try to reset that attack stat. I remember reading some tweets about this Arcanine last week, how it was actually the MVP for a lot of players down in the, or 2 weeks ago in the Phoenix tournament. We see Kangaskhan now come in as Heatran's going to protect himself, not going to want to take a Mach Punch or a Drain Punch. Cresselia going Calm Mind again, just setting up in the face of danger.
Yeah, but I think that was the exact moment Kangaskhan had to come in. If you let something be knocked out, then when Kangaskhan comes back in, so will Arcanine, and you'll never take down the Cresselia. Now, for the Arcanine to come in, Conkeldurr would have to switch, or you don't want to switch the Cresselia, so Conkeldurr will have to switch. But Conkeldurr has such a huge offensive presence right now, you don't really want to do that, and so I think that was the great, perfect moment to bring in Kangaskhan safely.
He can hit Mach Punch, but I am expecting the Landers to come back in right now to probably try to intimidate this Conkeldurr, to try to weaken it. You know, I think that'd be the best option here.
Yeah, into the Heatran slot, probably. Maybe.
I think it might be the Kangaskhan slot just because I feel like that Conkeldurr is going to want to try to target down that Kangaskhan. I think Cresselia right now is pretty content on being able to pick up knockouts on that Heatran by continuing to Calm Mind, as we do see Kangaskhan switch back out into the Landers.
The only way this strategy of keeping Kangaskhan safe in the back works is if you force the Arcanine onto the field. If Kangaskhan has to come back in because you lose something before the other player loses something and the Arcanine hits the field, you'll never take it down.
As the Conkeldurr switches out into the Arcanine, going to go for the Intimidate now onto the Landers. The Burn Landers not going to be hitting hard at all, but of course it's still going to be threatened. What is this Heat Ray going to do, though? Is it going to go for an Earth Power? Is it going to go for a Heat Wave here? As the Psychic does connect onto that Lander slot. Almost picks up the knockout. Heat Ray goes Earth Power into that Arcanine slot. Good call right there.
What a great call. Just a perfect turn. Getting the Kangaskhan out so that it's not intimidated, then KOing the Intimidate. Kangaskhan will be safely at full attack from now on. Landers doesn't get KO'd this turn, so Kangaskhan doesn't have to come out yet, which maybe gives you a small chance of getting at least some damage on this Conkeldurr. But still, both these Pokemon are going to be very difficult to deal with. Heatran's not doing much to either of them. The Burnt Landers at -1 attack isn't doing much to either of them, and either one will KO Kangaskhan in 2 hits.
I think that Conkeldurr should target down that Lander slot right now, because if Landers wants to come back in to intimidate, yeah, Conkeldurr does go Mach Punch. Where's it going to go? Targets down Landers. Good call. Punish the Kangaskhan switch in, or pick up knockout on that Landers right there. As we see now, I think Cresselia is going to go ahead and Moonlight, and yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
So yeah, now Kangaskhan hits the field, has a nearly full health Conkeldurr to deal with, a full health Cresselia to deal with.
Overheat. How much damage is that going to do? How much damage is that going to do? Not enough to pick up the knockout, but that does bring it in range of Fake Out.
Right in range of Fake Out, range of another Overheat. Really huge to reveal that now. If it had only been Heat Wave that was an option, Heatran would have been almost worthless to deal with either of these Pokemon. Now, Heatran can handle Conkeldurr. It's up to Kangaskhan to handle Cresselia.
Yeah, and ooh, I think you personally still have to Fake Out because you don't want that much damage on that Kangaskhan right now.
Yeah, I don't think a Mach Punch plus a Psychic is a KO. So Protect is what you want. Obviously, it's not an option for him here.
Kangaskhan now going Fake Out on the Cresselia slot. You like that play?
Yeah, I like that play a lot. It gets you some useful damage on Cresselia. You want to take one of the two. You're going to have to take one of the two of Mach Punch or Psychic. Because that Cresselia is at +3, it really doesn't matter which one you take. The Psychic probably would have done more. Denying the Psychic, the -2 special attack Heatran wasn't going to do anything to Cresselia. So if you KO the Conch Elder with Fake Out, Heatran's turn is wasted.
With the critical hit, picks up the knockout on that Conch Elder. Now it's Cresselia versus 4 stages of reduced special attack Heatran and the Kangaskhan now. Is Kangaskhan going to have enough oomph in order to knock out this Cresselia?
Well, yeah, I don't think it will in one hit, and Psychic probably does KO. If the Psychic misses, he's in a good spot, or if there's a crit somewhere. The return, the overheat crits, and that's probably
and we see the return now under the Cresselia, bring it down to about 50% here. Cresselia going to go for the Psychic. Is it going to be enough to pick up the knockout on this Kangaskhan? Kangaskhan does get knocked out right there, and that should be it.
Overheat crits.
Overheat crit?
Oh, you got to go for the overheat.
Burn. I think he's fishing for... No, well, he can just moonlight it off, though.
Yeah.
As Cresselia now sitting at pretty healthy health count. Can easily just moonlight here just in case, and then start going for some more Psychics, maybe some Calm Minds.
Yeah, overheat crit, though. It gets rid of all those Calm Minds, all those overheat drops, and might not KO from this health, but
we do see Heatran go for the Heat Wave here. Gonna fish for a burn. Let's try to slowly chip away at this Cresselia. This Cresselia now at, what is it, 3 or 4 stages?
3.
3? Dang. Cresselia going for the Psychic right now. Gonna connect with that Heatran. How much damage is it going to do? Bring it down to about 50% here. Heatran now going Heat Wave, still fishing for that burn. Is it going to be able to get the burn? Not doing any damage at all, really. And no burn right there. And I think 2 more Psychics should be able to do it. Cresselia now going for the Psychic here. Do you think he's going to go for the overheat and hope for a crit?
He needs to. This is his last chance.
With the crit, as Heatran does go for another Heat Wave here. Not going to be able to enough to do damage, though. No damage at all. As that should be it. Cresselia's just going to easily outspeed and go for the knockout right here with a Psychic. Calm Mind Cresselia.
Yeah.
What is this, 2009?
Calm Mind Cresselia's been huge recently. It's great for handling these special attackers that, especially like Heatran, that don't have a great way of attacking Cresselia. They're worried about just building up damage over time. When you get that special defense boost, and have a way to recover that damage, slow chip of Heat Wave here, something like a Giga Drain here, like what small chunks of damage will never pick up the KO. And Cress is great at the Calm Mind Cresselia is great at taking advantage of that. I think that was an excellently played game by both players. Lots of shifts in momentum, excellent switches and denial of switches. The Azumarill was handled really well.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
Why don't we just ask the man himself? We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, a player interview with Chase Libert, the winner of the recent match, and, of course, a Worlds contender. Stay tuned, everybody.
Hey, so we're here with Chase.
Yeah, Chase.
And that was a great win.
It was, dude. That was scary.
Really impressive game. Great to watch.
Yeah, dude. That Azumarill Kangaskhan in the beginning, I was really scared of that. Like, the only way I had to stop that is leading those two and then hoping to get the Will-O-Wisp on it.
And you did. And while I was able to get one Aqua Jet off, it didn't KO the Kangaskhan because of it. Your Kangaskhan was faster, and that's really where the momentum started to change.
Well, I think it was a speed tie, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he runs Jolly, running Azumarill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Usually they would want the faster fake out.
Yeah.
So I was assuming he was, and banking on the speed tie, and we got it.
Well,
so.
it was huge when you got it.
Yeah.
And starting to Calm Mind, even while you're still dealing with a +6 Azumarill.
Well, after it was burn, it wasn't really a big deal because I have Keyberry on Crest, you know? So if he were to hit me with Aqua Jet, even play rough, it wouldn't be doing a whole lot, and I would get the Keyberry activated. Although he did knock it off later on, but so.
Another thing I thought you did really well later in the game, he was trying to keep the Kangaskhan safe and trying to find a point to bring it back in.
Oh, he got that really great switch out from Lando.
He finally found a spot, but for a few turns there, you really denied any chance to bring it in.
Well, I didn't want to kill the Lando. You know, that's a free switch in the King, and that gives him all the momentum. A burned Lando is not doing much to my team, so he really found the opportunity and he took it.
Yeah.
So. And
the Heatran, did you ever? It was the last thing you KO'd, but it sat on the field a long time.
It was. Conk dealt with it pretty well. I figured when I mock punched the Lando, I thought he might protect Heatran and then knock off my Conk, you know. But instead, he just went for the knockoff, probably knocking off my Sylvester and then KOing it with overheat.
Yeah.
So me mock punching him and killing him before he got the knockoff and then surviving the overheat was pretty big. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Huge moment because if he gets that we saw how much the overheat did. If he gets the knockoff in first, that's a KO.
Yeah, I'm done. And the Conk Calder was huge in that matchup. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think when he faked out Cresselia on that one turn?
I think he was just scared of what, +2 was at the time?
+3 at that point.
Yeah, +3 at that point. He was just scared of the damage. And, you know, +3, it KO'd King at, what, 60%. So, yeah, it's strong.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So have most of your games been wins with Combine Cresselia?
Actually, not really. I just played Japan Sand last game, and you can't really bring it against that because the Sandstorm neuters the Moonlight. And they have Tyranitar, too, for the crest.
Right. So
I still brought it, but I couldn't set up on it. It was mainly to kill, like, he had a Moongus, and he had Salamence. So it was mainly
yeah, so you needed the coverage there with Psychic and Ice Beam.
So, yeah, that was a tough matchup. So
cool. So Azumarill, is that a normal problem? Do you run into it very often?
I don't run into it very often. Like, I built this team with my brother, actually. He couldn't make it today. But he had some ideas. I had some ideas. We brought the same team to Arizona. He bubbled, and I went 5-3. So I didn't really want to build a new team for this. So I just brought the same thing, changed like 1 or 2 things. And
so you think those changes are going to be key? Are they?
I don't think
changes?
They're too huge,
right.
but we'll see. I haven't used them yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll just sneak in at just the right moment.
They might. I hope so.
Well, congrats again on the win.
All right. Thank you.
Great job. We'll be right back in a minute with round 4.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the 2015-2016 Northern California Regional Championships here in San Jose, California. We just had a player interview between Chase Libert and, of course, Len Duell. Why don't we go ahead and just update you guys on some of the standings that I know about right now. Huiha, currently 3-0. Thomas Nishimura, currently 3-0. That means that Pickle Sword and Metabu have dropped to 2-1. Of course, we just saw Chase move on to 3-0, dropping PM649 down to 2-1, and Alejandro from the previous round is also 3-0.
What about Aaron Cybertron Zhang?
Aaron CT Cybertron Zhang?
Yes, Aaron
He's
CT
currently
Cybertron
2-1
Zhang.
right now, and he does not look like he's doing that well. Like,
no, he doesn't seem
terms of
happy
morale.
about being 2-1.
Hey, man.
What's up?
You right, buddy? Anyways, I mean, if you want to make it awkward, there's a lot of things that you can do to make it awkward. That was not one of them.
That was great. That was a nice moment. Thank you. Thank you for your input.
You know, Aaron does say that he has some top secret, super duper secret techs for his team, and
Change the whole way the game is played.
changing the whole. Yeah, absolutely. And the tournament's actually moving pretty fast. I mean, I don't think we have a lunch break though. It definitely, yeah. If you want food, you had to just not top cut. Are pairings posted? Yeah, pairings are posted. We're live on stream right now, dude.
This dude has axed me in multiple events. This is the dude who I played in that
Conan versus Kermit?
the last round. I was so mad that I left without my prizes.
Conan versus Kermit.
6.
Yeah, yeah. Round 4 has just been posted here at the 2015-2016 Northern California Regional Championships, and we have the pairings. We're going to go ahead and stream a match between Conan and Kermit the Frog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
should be a good match.
definitely a good match. I mean, both players are young and upcoming. I believe that this is both their second years in the Masters division after having spectacular seniors finishings, right? So Conan, of course, hails from the Northwest in Japan, but also, you know, Daniel, of course, is a more local player, and it's going to be pretty exciting as to what's going to happen.
Yeah,
He actually just won yesterday's Premier Challenge.
he did.
Yeah.
Beat Chemo in the top 4.
Uh-huh.
Ended up winning.
So it's going to be a tough call. I believe Conan will probably be running something similar to Chalk, right? I'm not sure what Daniel was running. I know we streamed him at the Premier Challenge on Friday, but I'm not quite sure what he had on his team. So we'll just have to wait to see exactly what he has to kind of combat Chalk, I guess, since that's what I personally assume is what Conan's going to be running. Can't be too sure exactly, though.
No, it might be one letter different.
I like Eraser still.
Eraser.
Eraser.
Is that, why don't you go through those letters?
Escavalier.
Reuniclus? Oh, Rhyperior.
Rhyperior.
Aegislash?
Aegislash. There's another S. Salamence. There's 2 E's in this one?
That seems really hard to do.
Entei.
Entei. Ah,
Entei.
yes. You need a fire type. We saw Arcanine. We've seen lots of Heatrans. Entei, another good option for
And
a
the
fire
last
type.
R is either Rotom or Reuniclus.
Ah, maybe Reuniclus. You need a Trick Room setter, right? You got.
But Rotom's the best Pokemon in the game, though. You can't forget about that, right?
I don't know if it is the best Pokemon in the game.
I don't know. But anyways, that is my counter to Chalk because it erases the Chalk.
Ah. Oh, I just got it.
Thank you, Len. Thank you.
I just thought we were picking random
so
letters
much.
and making words.
Well, what's your core counter Chalk?
Oh, my score it's Alaka. I just naturally counter Chalk. So that's an Aegislash,
Okay.
a Landorus,
Okay.
and a Mungus,
Okay.
a Kangaskhan,
Okay.
and
That sounds like Chalk.
Yeah, it's very similar. Alaka, I don't differentiate myself that much, but that third A, the Alamomola, really interesting choice. Yeah.
It is actually a palindrome.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Lomomola backwards is the same as it is forward, just like Giraffe Rig, right?
Pokemon fun facts for you.
Pokemon fun facts. Thank you, guys. I think we're almost ready to go underway right now. Conan is going to be on top. And Daniel's going to be on bottom. So definitely excited to see this matchup here between these two players. Both, again, young and upcoming, as we're still not in team preview just yet, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Are you excited, Len?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Excited to hear this game music a lot. And excited to see these this great match.
I guess we can already see the team from Daniel with Amoonguss, Milotic, Gardevoir, Heatran, Terrakion, and Thundurus. A bit more of a shakeup than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, a few different Pokemon. Only the Heatran and the Amoonguss really from that Chalk.
When I think Chalk, I think Thundurus.
Yeah, Thundurus is like the honorary Chalk member. His name doesn't.
You gotta chalked it up.
The T just doesn't fit into the acronym.
Chalked. Like chalk.
That's not how that's spelled.
No, it doesn't matter. As long as it makes a phonetic sound of it, it's fine. We do see Milotic, of course. Milotic, I thought was a very good Pokemon coming into the World Tournament last year, but none of them unfortunately cut because of how good of a Pokemon it is. I mean, it has competitive. Going to be able to come in on those landers. It's going to be able to activate maybe a Moringa Berry.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think it has going for it is Recover. There's a lot of other options in that bulky water spot. Jellicent, Suicune, but Recover really differentiates it. Lets it have a longer lasting effect, stay on the field, especially with Moringa. Just take repeated big attacks. You can sit there and take Thunderbolts for a long time if it needs to.
I know that when we first started the game, a lot of people opted for an Assault Vest on Milotic, but then that doesn't give it access to Recover. Whereas the Moringa Berry essentially gives it an Assault Vest, but you have access to Recover. The only downside is you have to get hit by special attack. But you know what special attacks are going to be thrown at it anyways? Giga Drains, Thunderbolts.
Ones you can take, and especially if you recover at that turn, you'll be fine.
As now we are in team preview, we see Landers, Thundurus, Kangaskhan, Heatran, Cresselia, and Amoonguss.
Chalked.
And of course, Daniel's team, Amoonguss, Milotic, Gardevoir, Heatran, Terrakion, Thundurus. One of the issues with Kangaskhan is that, you know, it's weak. Terrakion's a great counter to Kangaskhan, but Landers kind of prevents that from happening because it comes in, intimidates it, prevents it from getting knocked out, and at the same time, Terrakion has nothing to touch it unless you're running some obscure variant with Ice-type hidden power.
Yeah, I mean, switches into the close combat, threatens it so much, and other things in this Chalk are useful for handling Terrakion too. The Cresselia can switch in safely with close combat, so can the Amoonguss, and either one threatens those super effective same type attacks against it.
Right, and Thundurus can just paralyze it too, so a lot of things here countering the big Terrakion.
Right, and once Kangaskhan's faster, it can handle Terrakion. So that's why item on Terrakion is so key. Lum lets you deal with that Thunder Wave. Safety Goggles let you deal with Amoonguss much better. Sash lets you deal with Landorus much better.
Of course, with the Milotic on Daniel's side, you know, you can easily also just kind of scare away Landorus from coming in. Not even scare, but just take those Intimidates that are probably going to come towards the Terrakion if Daniel even decides to bring the Terrakion, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's probably will scare it away, but even if it's not scared, it's a trait you're happy with. Landorus comes in, maybe takes close combat, and now you're boosted and you're threatening that Landorus immediately with big Scalds or Icy Winds.
One thing that the Terrakion also does, you know, if you see a Terrakion, most likely you're going to bring that Landorus. Well, I mean, most of the time you even just bring the Terrakion. As we go into the leads right now, Heatran and Kangaskhan out for Conan's side. Gardevoir and Milotic out for Daniel's side, probably expecting a Landorus just to come in and intimidate Terrakion, but we don't see a Terrakion just yet, as we see Heatran floating on its air balloon. Yeah,
interesting option over Shuka. Much harder to protect the air balloon than the Shuka. You can't take things like Fake Out, Hyper Voice, and Icy Wind. All these attacks that you'd love to just switch in and take for nearly free. now they're all things you have to worry about.
And we don't see any ground type attack out on the field right now. Milotic, of course, can easily just try to attack with his Scald onto that. He ran stop, but Daniel's just going to switch it out, probably expecting the landers come in later. As we see Amoonguss come in, he can switch right there, probably expecting an attack from this Kangaskhan to try and pick it up.
Yeah, that's a really interesting switch. I thought Milotic was in a good spot. I was about to say something about how he was in a nice spot because he tried almost nearly can't hurt it, and if it does try to, it activates that Moringa, is likely on Milotic. And Kangaskhan could do good damage against it, but risks a Scald back.
Kangaskhan now going to go for the fake out, targeting on the Amoonguss slot. All right, so maybe that is a good call from Daniel. As we see the Rocky Helmet going to do damage back to the Kangaskhan, going to bring it down to about 75%. And, you know, that was a good call right there to switch it out. Hype Voice does come out and brings the Kangaskhan down all the way to about less than 25% as Heatran does get up a free substitute.
Yeah, Gardevoir making a really bold move to totally go all in on predicting the fake out on Milotic, switch in for the Rocky Helmet, and just leave Gardevoir unprotected. If that fake out had hit, it does huge damage to Gardevoir. Allows it to stay on the field, go for a Hyper Voice, and pick some really good damage against Kangaskhan. The Kangaskhan's almost knocked out now. Does give up the substitute, but if you have Milotic sitting in the back, you're not ever as worried about the substitute Heatran, because even with that extra turn, it can't really deal with Milotic itself.
You see Amoonguss now switch out, not going to want to try to take any attack at all from Kangaskhan. Milotic does commit, probably trying to bait the Flamethrower or the Heat Wave, activate the Moringa Berry as Gardevoir does protect itself. We're going to have to see where this Kangaskhan goes with its attack. Does target down the Gardevoir, as Heatran does go for the Heat Wave. Does it activate a Moringa Berry here? Milotic, of course, is already naturally special, as it takes that like champion, which is not very effective. And no Moringa Berry, just going to go ahead and activate a burn instead. That's not something that you like to see.
Still a pretty, that burn is going to really come back to hurt the Milotic, but still a pretty good switch in. Gets the Amoonguss back out safe, recovers the health that the fake out actually did, and keeps Gardevoir safe for a turn. But now that return, really risky. One of these Pokemon's likely going to take it unless the Gardevoir is faster. You can just knock out the Kangaskhan, and neither one wants to at all. Heatran still sitting behind the sub. The Kangaskhan, because it's a bigger threat, even if Milotic does get to attack this turn, he's probably not going to be breaking that sub.
We do see Amoonguss switch in, probably going to try to take that return that was targeting that Gardevoir slot that turn. But does Conan do something else? Heatran does protect, so Amoonguss might come in for free here.
Wow, Amoonguss just switching into Heatran with impunity, getting it off twice in a row, and the failed Sucker Punch.
Milotic does go for a Scald, doesn't target down. Kangaskhan does pick up the knockout right there. Good read right there from Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, excellent play. I think he must have decided his Kangaskhan was slower than the Gardevoir. With his knowledge of his Kangaskhan, made that was really likely, and so didn't think he could get a return off because the Hyper Voice would go first. And so he opted to just get good Sucker Punch damage onto the Gardevoir. Instead, gets nothing off at all and still gets his Kangaskhan KO'd.
Thundurus does switch in, and Thundurus, of course, now it's a tough Pokemon to play around because it's Thunder Wave Swagger support, and you know nowadays it might also carry safety goggles.
Well, yeah, if it has safety goggles, it's really a threat that is Milotic. Even if it doesn't, it's threatening the Milotic, and if Amoonguss tries to Rage Powder it away, it's risking another chance at a Heat Wave.
Absolutely, we do see Amoonguss protect. You're not going to want to take anything at all from this Thundurus or this Heatran, as Milotic is going to go Scald now. Going to break that substitute, and now Heatran out in the open, going to try to draw in some attacks here and pick up the knockout on that Heatran as soon as possible. Thundurus now going Hidden Power into the Amoonguss slot as Heatran going to go Heat Wave again. Double target into that Amoonguss. Conan now identifying Amoonguss as the bigger threat. Milotic will survive another turn, but of course it is also going to be threatened by this Thundurus.
Yeah, but Milotic was faster than Thundurus, which is really interesting.
Oh yeah, huh?
Either a very fast Milotic, maybe Scarf is going to see Moringa. And Amoonguss not switching out, I don't know if, it's very unlikely that Amoonguss just stays in to attack that turn.
That is a Scarf Milotic, dude.
And so, probably not predicting just a chance to KO the Amoonguss as much as a switch and punishing it, but doesn't get anything.
Thundurus now going to set up a substitute here. Where the attack's going to land, Milotic going for the Scald. Heatran going to protect itself as Amoonguss goes for the Spore. Not going to work through that substitute as Milotic is now on the verge of getting knocked out.
These players are just trading back and forth to create turns. One player has a turn where they do a bunch and the other player does nothing, and then it flips. Gets that free substitute up. Now can just stay in on Amoonguss without worrying about it. Heatran can sub on this turn also while Thunderbolting the Milotic. trying to sub with Heat Train would be really risky because the Scald could just
I think what you do, you
punish
go
it.
for the Scald onto the Heat Ran right now. You know that your Milotic's outspeeding that Thundurus. You go for that Scald, get that damage on that Heat Ran. Thundurus hiding behind his substitute, still going to get hit by the Hyper Voices.
Yeah, and there just may not be a very good switch in for this Scald. And so you may get it off again.
Oh, turning down the Thundurus
breaks
instead. Gonna break the sub here, and now, ooh, this could be bad.
I think the Mungus will likely go down.
Oh! Hidden Power Ice into the Milotic as we see a Life Orb finally. We see the item on the Thundurus as the Heat Wave now connects, and I think something's going to get put to sleep.
Yeah, I guess that was a prediction of a switch. The Heat Wave also would have done enough damage to put it in burn KO range, even if it didn't KO itself. Now Heat Train falls asleep because of it.
Yeah. And
I think the Life Orb HP Ice would have done enough to Mungus also.
wow. I guess that does assure the knockout on that Milotic. We see Gardevoir coming right now, can easily start hyper voicing everything. Just to try to pick up some knockouts here, this Thundurus might fall. I mean, if it is a not as bulky Thundurus, you know, we see the Life Orb variant, that means it's going to be more invested in offense. You know, Hyper Voice will do a lot of damage, and if Thundurus does go on the offensive here, it might even actually get knocked out. So we do see Protect. Now we know all of Thundurus' moveset.
Yeah.
Protect, Hidden Power Ice, Thunderbolt, Substitute. This is a 2011 Thundurus.
That's what I was about to say. Substitute has been seen on Thundurus in general since then.
Hidden Power Ground Gardevoir picks up a knockout on that Heat Ran right off the bat. Huge.
Yeah, I think Hidden Power Ground Gardevoir is nearing a must now with how common Heat Train is. If you want to effectively use Gardevoir, you need a way to hit Heat Train. It's going to be on half the teams you play against.
And we do see the Landers finally come out. Unfortunately, the Milotic is not out on the field to benefit from that Intimidate drop for that competitive boost. But, you know, depending on how things go, like this Thundurus, well, I think
Gardevoir can get a Hyper Voice if it wants it, or Rage Powder plus
Thundurus
Hyper
goes
Voice.
for double protect here. Rage Powder from the Mungus. Gonna redirect any attack that Thundurus would have thrown at it. Anyways, Gardevoir gonna go Hyper Voice. Landers is slower, either Choice Banded or Assault Vest, probably Assault Vest. Thundurus does get knocked out right there. Huge damage as Landers does go for the Earthquake. Gonna hit Mungus and Gardevoir. Doing a decent amount of damage to both Pokemon. Mungus all the way down to the red, and Gardevoir almost knocked out. But this Gardevoir should be able to outspeed.
Yeah, outspeeds easily KOs.
Actually, yeah, it's a full power Hyper Voice now, right? And the Hyper Voice does connect. Is enough to pick up the knockout on Landers, and it is enough to pick up the knockout on the Landers. And there you have it. Kermit the Frog has defeated Conan.
Yeah.
3-0.
Great match. It just suddenly went out of control there. It seems like a very close game. Both players having really good turns.